What if it was impossible to go a day in your city without encountering Jesus through his people on mission everywhere, every day? Welcome to the Saturate podcast, where we equip everyday disciples and leaders to make Jesus known in the everyday stuff of life. We'll share real stories and practical tools to equip you as you live as God's people, where you live, work, learn, and play. We're so glad you're here. Hello, I'm Jeff Vanderstelt, Executive Director of Saturate. Whether you lead a church, a small group, or simply want to grow as a disciple of Jesus, our hope is to equip you to live as a disciple who makes disciples everywhere and every day. And today we are getting to talk with Krista Breilh, and she is the Executive Director and founder of Live Salted, which is a great ministry to women here that I'm going to have her tell you a lot more about. But I'm just really thankful you're here, Krista. I told her before we started, I hope this is the first of many times that we get to have a conversation like this on my podcast. I'm going to get to spend time with you and your team tomorrow, doing some fun future planning together. So this is somebody that not only am I deeply inspired by, but also very committed to coming around and seeing what you're doing flourish, because I love your heart and I believe so much in what you're doing. So thank you for being with us. And I would love it if you would just give a little bit of introduction more than I said, because I didn't say much about who you are.
Wow, Jeff, thank you so much. It means a lot. Jeff and I met randomly, which we know randomly is not possible in the kingdom of God, at a prayer breakfast, I think probably 2 years ago.
Yes, we're at the same table.
Yeah, and I remember hearing your story, what you did, and I was just like, whoa, I would love to have the knowledge of someone who creates spaces that truly do create these idea of spiritual parents. That was like the idea of what you're so hungry about doing that captured my heart. So for me, I'm married to JJ, an amazing husband. We have 2 little girls. And for the last 10 years, I've been running a ministry called Live Salted. So I was a 21-year-old in college when I started it. And I just had this passion that God called me to a non-Christian school to be a light. But getting down there, I was like, where is the community? No one here is a Christian. And the Lord's like, build it. And so I've had a passion for the last 10 years of building spaces of belonging all around the person of Jesus. And so I get to do that through Live Salted. My husband does that through FCA at University of Washington, which is a sports ministry. And then more recently, we launched an in-home daycare in our basement. So we're building out this space of belonging around the person of Jesus for 6-month-old to 6-year-olds. So
I love it.
Definitely love building community. We love the city of Seattle. And I just have a heart and a hunger for people to know the joy of doing life with Jesus, because he's so much more fun than people like think about him to be. And I'm just passionate about getting out of the box that oftentimes your upbringing or your understanding or your pain has put God in, because he is so much greater and better than we could ever imagine. And I have a passion to help women in particular, but also everyone understand what that looks like in their own personal lives.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
So you don't just do what you're doing without something shaping you. So tell us a little bit about, how did you come to know Jesus? Why community? Why was that such a priority for you? I mean, something shaped that. So yeah.
It's so wild. Like the older you get, how your story of origin or your history just makes more sense. Like I was that girl who was like, I have no testimony. I was just this good Christian girl and felt always weirdly ashamed. I didn't have this like crazy wandering season and felt like that I didn't have value in the gospel, in the kingdom, because I didn't have this like crazy story to talk about from rags to riches. But the older you get, you're like, that is such a lie.
That's right.
That's such a lie.
Praise God, you don't have to have a wandering story.
And also there's wandering that I actually just like,
it's different.
That I also like, that I had to hide and almost like emotionally buried. I couldn't deal with it when I was younger. So what that looks like now as a 32-year-old looking back at my story when I was younger was I was raised in a Christian household. We were raised, like we had in our cul-de-sac growing up, we had like 21 kids who were always outside playing. Like my childhood, me being a kid was so well preserved. Like we were outside in the cul-de-sac in the summer times playing kick the can. I was like making everyone be part of a play. Like we went camping all the time, played sports. Like my childhood was beautiful. And then from the outside, I thought that my parents we're wonderfully married and everything. But of course, as things happen when you're younger, you don't really perceive everything as reality really is. So my 7th grade year, they told us they were getting a divorce, and it really shocked me. Looking back now, I understand that there was never really any romance in the household. There was never any form of intimacy of like touching and holding and all the things that I now hunger to have my kids see as being a married woman. I just didn't have any of that stuff. But what I recognized looking back now was because of the divorce, I chose to say, like, I don't care about what's happening here. I'm going to go excel in school. And I truly did say, like, I'll take care of my sister because she had a harder time with the news. And I just wanted to be the strong person for her and not have to be more of a burden to my family in any way. Conveniently, as the Lord does this stuff, though, I went off to summer camp that summer. This is now 8th grade year before going into high school. And I just remember being at the front of the stage, like I'm a total church camp kid. Like you talk about games, like this is who I am. And I remember being at the front of the outdoor tented sanctuary space, just being like, God, whatever this is that you have for me, like I want to give you my everything. And again, in the moment, I didn't understand it, but looking back now, it was this fact that there's a God who would never leave me, like my parents leaving each other, whose love would never be questioned, who would always be with me as I changed houses back and forth. Like it was understanding that God would fill all the gaps that even my young brain couldn't comprehend at that moment that I was experiencing because of my parents' divorce. And so I then go off to high school. I'm a freshman and I played club volleyball for 1 year. So like, I'm not like that good. Like you don't get that good at club volleyball for 1 year, but I got put on the varsity team. And I remember just begging to be on JV. Like, please, I don't want to be on varsity. I'm not talented enough to be on varsity, but the coach saw something in me. And at our initiation night, I just love these stories. But at our initiation night, we played this game called 10 Fingers, like Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
And coming from a very sheltered Christian family, I was shocked because being raised in the church too, like I was raised to look at those who are older than me as this role model of who I can be in my life. I always was gifted with such amazing mentors who came before me. So coming into this volleyball team, all the seniors were people I could look up to in my mindset. However, we played this game this night and I was like, people have sex before they're married. They drink before they're 21. What's weed? My whole mind was like just blown up. Again, sheltered kid in Christian family. And I asked this question in my head of like, do I need to do these things to fit in? And again, looking back now, it's wild. But as a 14-year-old, I not audibly, but I heard the Lord be like, Krista, well, I was Chrissy back then, but Chrissy, I want you to go before those who are younger than you to remodel that you don't need to do these things to fit in, but you can still love Jesus and still be like of the world, but not in the world. And so since 14 till now, I've just had this hunger to go before others who are asking that question of like, do I have to do the worldly thing to fit in or not? And it's just wow. Like as a 14-year-old, I now mentor freshmen in high school. I'm like, how did the Lord capture my heart when I was that young? But so thankful that he did. That's kind of some of their origin story where my heart was for this of like people. I use this language nowadays of like positive exposure.
Yep.
I think so often kids get exposed to things way earlier than they should.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a vision for what you're looking for in life or a vision what you want, it's really hard to get there. And so with Live Salted and with how I parent now and with even my friends I do life with, if I'm not able to see what it is that I desire to be like or to build a life around or be like Christ-like, then it's really hard to do that. And obviously scripture is like the main North Star around that. And so when you partner reading scripture and seeing people who are older than you living it out, it's like that's really how you start to build a life that is so deeply satisfying and meaningful. And not always easy. Like Christ is not equal easy by any means, but gives you the roadmap for how to do life well when it is very short and temporary here.
Thank you. Where did you grow up?
Down in Oregon.
Okay.
Beaverton was part of the early years, and then Lake Oswego was the next part of my childhood.
Okay. And what brought you here?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. So then I went to school down at Chapman. I felt really called to be at a non-Christian school, went down there.
Okay.
Long story short, it's a beautiful story, but I had a ring that was named, that wrote the word salt on it my freshman year because I wanted to be the salt at my school. The idea of Matthew 5:13 talks about remaining salty or you're good for nothing.
Yeah.
And that scripture just really hit me because I was questioning of like, okay, I was a good girl in high school. And I want to still be this like Christian girl. And I had a mentor from Young Life. Her name was Shandi. She's still one of my really good friends. And she's like, Krista, if you go off to college, you're no longer the ASB girl, no longer the sports girl, no longer the Christian girl. You're going to have no idea who you are. Do you really want to enter into college like that? And I'm like, probably not. So the idea of remaining salty, holding on to the true essence of who I am, is like really hit me. So I got a ring made with the word salt on my freshman year. And I truly just wanted to like be true to my faith. So I got down to college, like I said earlier in the introduction, there was like nothing there for Christians. There's not a single club on campus that was Christian. There was not a church in walking distance. So I'm like, what do I do? And again, this was like 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Blogs were like just becoming a thing, like, which sounds so weird to say that, but like when I was a freshman in college, there was like maybe 2 Christian blogs I could find. But there was no resources that were based for people like myself who were like hungry to follow Jesus in college in a non like Christian predominant space. Luckily, I found a girl at a promise ring. I was like, "Are you a Christian?" And she's like, "Yeah, we'll go be buddies." And then there is another cool story. There's so many gods, so I can't share all of them. But one of the cool stories was there was this night I joined a sorority, and there was this one night that I was praying about drinking for a formal or not. And I was living in a triple dorm room. So oftentimes I'd go to the top of this parking structure to go pray and kind of like find space just to breathe and talk to Jesus. And so I went out to this parking structure to go pray, like I'd done multiple times in the past. But when I walked up there this one night, I went to the corner, and just sitting there in the corner was a salt shaker. And I was like, what? Like, God, you are so funny. Your sense of humor is just amazing. And I told the story at a conference one time, and like, it's for a tequila shot. And I'm like, honestly, it probably was for a tequila shot, but I saw that salt shaker for a much different purpose than what it was originally intended for. So again, the Lord is just like kind of dropping these little nuggets around kind of like this idea of live salted, which I do believe like so wholeheartedly that God plants seeds in our lives for so many years. And at different points, different transitions, different junctions, like they pop up and you're like, God's like, look, time for this thing to sprout. And you're like, whoa, I've seen this thing be seeded and like watered for like a decade or more. And now it's time for it to be coming into bloom. So basically I came back from freshman year. I ended up starting a small group / meeting space from my sorority with like 5 girls. I came across this organization called Delight Ministries randomly through Pinterest, and they were launching college women's ministries on their college campuses. And I was like, I should start this. And so I reached out to them. I was the first person to reach out to them outside of their friend group in Nashville. And so I chartered the first Delight Ministries at Chapman University in California. And we had 60 girls coming to my house on Monday nights.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, whoa, like I'm not the only Christian at this point. And it was just this cool reminder of like when you feel that personal gap in your own life, assuming that you're not the only one. Like I could have easily been like, oh, I'm the only Christian here. No one else wants to be a Christian, or whatever your own passion in your life is. It's like oftentimes I think the Lord gives us these passions and these awareness, these gaps in our lives so that we can fill them not only for ourselves, but also for others. So here I was as a sophomore in college, like leading a small group of 60 women every Monday night, and just reminded of the beauty of people don't want to be alone. Like they want to follow God in community. And so fast forward a few more crazy God stories we can share another time, but I met friends across the world who also had a hard time finding resources to support them in their faith. And I was like, okay, Lord, I'm now a senior in college. I have an education basically done in marketing and PR and leadership. Like, what am I doing with my life? What do I mean to do with this gap that I found? Like, I had it. My school had it. These people across the world had it. And so senior year of college, I launched Live Salted as a website. We had a few blog posts made to like gain some sort of credibility. And then we had our first conference on April 9th, and 300 girls showed up.
Wow. Was that in Seattle, or where were you at this point?
Still at California, down in
California. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm a little crazy because I do like love creative marketing. It's just how I was, like, my whole education was creative marketing. And so, and I have like a zest for the Holy Spirit. You really can't you can't douse me. So I went to every Christian school from Point Loma in San Diego to Pepperdine up in Malibu. And I bought like 4,000 flyers for conference, and I bought 2,000 blue Easter eggs, and I hid coupon codes in the Easter eggs on Easter time for marketing. And I went and I stuck into the dorm rooms, like hiding Easter eggs, knocking on dorm room doors, like putting flyers in every girl like car I could find in the parking lots. Like we went ham. And the day was gorgeous. 300 people showed up. We talked about Jesus. Like people were worshiping. And it was just this first time where I'm like, wow, like when you really bring people together to have these shared spiritual, like faith marking moments, like you were offering someone a bookmark in their journey with Jesus. And I had no idea if I was going to pursue it or not after this one occurrence. I honestly didn't want to. I never wanted to go into ministry. I had a great degree from an awesome school, making good money if I wanted to. But the Lord obviously had a different plan for me. So
how did you get from there to here?
Other question. I got to Seattle.
Yeah.
This is why I love like when this idea when you follow Jesus, like nothing is a random coincidence.
That's
it's
right.
all like this beautiful scavenger hunt of like, Jesus, where are you going to be next? So after that first conference, my mentor and my dearest friend, her name was Emily Jameson, sent me an email just saying like, hey, I know you don't know me. I have no agenda. Like my friend is your friend's mom who helped you launch the conference. Like just knowing I've been watching you. I'm proud of you. I'm here if you need any help. So then I graduate college. I moved to Bend, Oregon, with my mom. And I was in this huge dilemma of like, do I do a corporate job or do I do ministry? And again, I have no money. I'm outside of college. Like ministry makes no money. I'm scared of fundraising. Like this seems like a stupid decision. I went to a great school. Like, why would I do this? So I applied to a job at Hydro Flask. And I'm like, okay, Lord, this will be up to you. I get this job or I don't. So I get down to the last two candidates, me and this other person for Hydro Flask. And then as the story goes, I don't get the job. I'm like, okay, I guess you want me to do live salted. So I fast for the first time in my life. I didn't even really know what fasting was in its full entirety. And at the end of the 3 days of dropping plates at my job, because I was so weak and tired from not eating and all this dramatic stuff in my head, the Lord's like, you need help. That's all I heard. I'm like, that's super helpful. I know I need help. I need to not eat food for 3 days. I know I need help. But I was reminded of this random email that I got from someone that I didn't even know her name. So I go to my inbox, I scroll down and figure out who this person was. I didn't know her name. And it was Emily's email. Reached back out to her. And we just started building this friendship. And that summer we launched a Bible 101, like an 8-week blog post series. And soon enough, fast forwarding through some details, her and her husband invited me to live in their basement in U District, like a year and a half.
Wow.
So I moved to Seattle with their invitation, and I lived in their house, like right there on 16th Avenue in UD, with their 4 boys. At that point, their ages 2 to 10. And me and Emily, we just live salted. Like we'd be up really late at night and just write Bible studies on her dining room table. She became was a speaker for us. And her DNA is like all over Salt's ministry. The way that she carries and knows Jesus has shaped me immensely. And has just been such a gift to have the maturity of her kind of proceeding all we've been building.
Wow. That's awesome. I didn't know that story. I knew some of it. I knew the event at Chapman and you kind of pulling people together in that first conference, but I didn't know a lot of the details in between. So thank you for catching us up.
Yeah. And there's so many more. Just God's so fun that way. I think like God is such a God of details, and we actually remember those minute testimonies that are actually massive in the grand scheme.
Oh, yeah.
It honors him because he's like, I am intentional. I am creative. I want you to see my pursuit of you in these things.
That's right.
It's always hard for me to tell these stories. Like there's so many ones I could tell, but again, we don't have hours and hours and hours. So
yeah, well, we're going to hopefully get to tell more in the future too. So you moved to the U District. Well, 2 of my daughters lived on 16th Ave, which is super fun.
Yep.
And you met JJ somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Was he doing FCA at that point or not? Was he at UW?
Crazy story. No. So Emily and Marshall started launching this thing called Come and See in their living room.
Okay.
In their heart was that people would get set on fire for the Holy Spirit. Because, as you know, Holy Spirit is kind of polarizing sometimes. People come from their background and their upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted to show us spaces that like, we're going to show up on Monday night and we're going to see what the Holy Spirit does. And each week it was vastly different. Some weeks we would read scripture and pray. Other weeks we'd do worship and this guy played a violin. It was just the most like beautiful, like all encompassing sound in this living room. I was just singing. We would practice prophecy and like have the safe space to like fail and try.
Yeah.
And so there's more stories to that too, but I met JJ in that living room.
Okay.
And when I met him, he was working at Travis Matthew, which is a golf company, as a sales rep for them. So very much so like his being like groomed and heading towards C-suite with them. They loved him. He's fantastic at what he does. But the Lord called him into ministry. And so he ended up quitting his job February of 2020 with hopes of going on a sabbatical, but then COVID happened.
Oh, wow.
But he hates talking about this. I brag about him because that January, he got awarded salesman of the entire company for the whole year.
Oh, wow.
Like JJ is just an incredibly gifted, like C-suite type level thinker, but God called him into ministry. So he just kind of like didn't want to for a long time. So quit his job, worked with this organization for a year and it didn't go well. So that last job ended right before we got married, which was hard for him too. Cause he was like, I think in your head, you picture getting married, you're your most fit self, you're your most successful self, like all these things in your head that you think qualify you to get married. And the Lord's like, actually, I'm going to have you get married when you're not any of those things. Right before we got married, he got a phone call about FCA, about joining the team and building it out in Seattle. And when he told me, I'm like, there's absolutely no way. Like I'm Salt's self-fundraise. We cannot do and run two self-fundraise organizations in the same house with overlapping networks. That sounds like a stupid idea in this expensive city. But we both knew like in our hearts that it was going to happen. So we he applied a job at Roots Sports. Again, he was one of the last two candidates, didn't get it, to like give the last shot of like, let's make some money outside of just asking for it. But now for the last 5 years, we've been married and been running two ministries out of the same household.
Crazy.
The grace of God.
Crazy. I love it. Oh man. And what he's doing is so great with FCA too. So yeah, it's fun to see you guys overlap and encourage each other. Mm-hmm. So now you've been in Seattle for 5 years? 8 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh gosh. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. I love this place.
And you've been married for 5? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So catch us up now. What's been going on with Live Salted? Tell us a little bit more about its recent reality. And you had a great event this last year.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what's fill in the gap between then and now a little bit.
So I look at Salt in like a few main phases. One of those phases was 4 years ago. I was about to quit. It was post-COVID.
Everybody wanted to quit.
Yeah. It was post-COVID. We're like an in-person ministry. So it was like 2 years into like not doing any in-person events and just being like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I also was encountering some IRS issues because I had a marketing degree, not a business degree. And ignorance does not work with the IRS. So there's just a lot of things I just like felt like I didn't know what I was doing anymore and kind of lost a lot of the energy. And I was running things by myself, more or less. People would come in and help for like part-time work or whatever, but I was just running it by myself for like, at that point, it would have been 5 years.
Wow, that's really hard.
And I just gotten married. Jada's in ministry too. I'm like, should I get a job in corporate? Like, what are we doing? This is so dumb. And I had a mentor of mine and she was like, well, you really can't quit when you owe the IRS money, first off. I'm like, that's true. And then 2, you shouldn't quit when you haven't done an event that you love to do in 2 years. And I'm like, okay, true.
Yeah.
So we hosted a legacy tour. It was going to go back down to Chapman, have maybe our last event down at Chapman, and then back in Seattle. And when we hosted that event, it was at the old church home building on the corner in U District. And Jeff, it was one of the most wild events where people were so dang hungry to be back in the presence of God, gathering together in person. Like it was palpable. Like when we did come to the front and ask for prayer, receive prayer, people were walking forward before we even made the invitation, before worship started playing. Because usually people wait until like they're under the covering of music. People are standing and lights are dim. Like people were just running forward to get prayer. Mm-hmm. And that was a day where I was like, like, I really want to keep doing this, but like, I can't do it alone because I don't want to, and I'm not supposed to. And that was the night that God called Rochelle to officially quit her job at Amazon and to work for free for 6 months.
It's crazy.
You can't make this kind of stuff up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so at that point, she was running some outdoor hikes for me as a fun like meetup opportunity. And then about like 3 weeks later, she asked me to get together, and she's like, I quit my job. And I was like, and I'm working for you. And I was like, what? You didn't even ask me? She's like, no, I'm supposed to do it. I'm supposed to be obedient to God. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So for the last 4 years, we worked together. It was a beautiful season of really defining what SALT was supposed to be. And where we landed with that was our goal was become intergenerational, multicultural, cross-denominational, because we're just about the person of Jesus, not about theology outside of like just the person of Jesus, and then to be based in the greater Seattle area. And so for the last 4 years, we have seen that happen, and it has been the most beautiful thing. Like to see SALT's like community grow to be truly like 18 to 80 years old from so many different churches across the city, to beautiful like depiction of God's full like cultural expanse of what he's created all of us to be and who he's created us to be. Yeah. It's been beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's been the last 4 years. She told me just end of May that she was going to, she told me before that, but her last day of work was end of May. And we just now hired on our new hire. Her name is Kyla Alvarez. And so we're in this next chapter of Live Salted, and we're about 2 days into it because she started June 15th. And my gosh, her and I are just pumped. The Lord went above and beyond in giving us this new hire. And she's someone who is so talented around discipleship and so gifted at making people be seen and be known and be loved. And she's just kind of spicy, which we want to have. Because people sometimes think Christianity is boring. Christianity is straight edge. Just these rule followers. I'm like, that's just not who God created us to like, be the full expression of him. So, so the last couple of years, like I'll say the details. What we do is we have this hunger of people finding people to run after God with. Like I know personally, if I don't have my close friends who are asking me the tough, like Jesus questions about where is he asking you to be obedient, or how is he pulling you deeper into faithfulness with him, and you kind of can get stale in your walk with the Lord. And so our heart is to help people find their people to run after Jesus with, because you can't do it alone. And so we create really organic events like dinner parties or meet us at Green Lake or outdoor hiking excursions. We've done a lot of different things just to see what kind of sticks in this city. We also host little small groups, but all of that's going to be more refined in the next season to come as we really try to nail in like, how do you disciple an entire city? And like, not in like the expansive, like, we're going to touch every person's life in the whole world, but like, how do you make a network, a connected like tissue of individuals who can support each other, walk with each other, encourage one another, be accountable to one another to really go after what God's called them to do. And one of our biggest passions for this is around helping the local church leadership who are women. Because you just know, like, if you feel so alone and isolated in your job, you can't do it for the long term. And so for the last, I think, 2 years now, we've hosted Women in Ministry gathering quarterly. And it's been really beautiful to have like 40 plus women come together for a Thursday morning for breakfast and just become friends and be like, we're in this together. You're not alone. And it's been rich. And I know there's so much more for us to do with that space. And I'm looking forward to what that looks like. But our heart and vision is to see the city actually, through women, actually be unified through friendship and through like truly holding each other up and being like, we're not alone, and making, people say, a very dark city be a city with a light that shines out to everyone to see them and to know that we love Jesus.
I love it. Yeah. And we didn't even say that you and I are part of a thing called Together for Seattle together. And our vision is truly to disciple the whole city. And the beautiful thing is, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted you on the podcast, because I want more people around the world to hear about what can happen in a city, but I also want our own city to be encouraged more and more, about what is happening. There's so many great things happening already in Seattle, and what you guys are doing is one of those significant points of light, I'm convinced of. So it's not just salt, but it's light you're bringing. So some of your dreams, let's talk about, and we're going to do some of this tomorrow. I can't wait to be with you and get to dream
Yes.
about the future and help you guys begin to think through how to get there. But yeah, as you think about where you're at now, where you hope to be, you shared some of this with me when we were together last, and I was very encouraged by it, which is why I wanted to spend more time with you tomorrow. So wait to be with your team and get to do that together. But yeah, for everyone listening, what are some of your dreams, hopes for the women in Seattle, for the ministry that God's given you a chance to birth and lead? Yeah. Dream a little bit with us.
No, I have so many dreams, Jeff.
I know you do. I'm asking.
It's cool. I think I've been in this for 10 years now. And I think early on with starting ministries, money is super like daunting and scary. But I've just been told over the years, like money or capital follows vision. And I'm like,
Yes.
Lord, I don't want to be scared about money anymore, because I think we're going to have like a 5-person team in the next like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
You're going to figure it out, because paying someone a livable wage in Seattle is not cheap.
It's crazy.
Okay. So
thank you, Amazon.
I know. Oh my gosh, I have so many dreams. So one thing that's kind of is easier to share, because it's not like a fully built out like how to yet. But now that I have 2 little girls of my own, I really hunger to have a Live Salted Girls ministry. I just think the enemy loves to steal childhood. And we can figure out how to help these young girls in high school. Like 14 years old is still so young. Like when they're just pressured to drink and to sleep around already, I'm just like, we got to help them stay children still.
Yeah.
We can have a ministry that meets them where they're at in their high school years of like life's supposed to be really fun, and like doing silly, dumb stuff at like playgrounds and playing outside at nighttime, and like just keeping kids is what I really hunger to do. And I think it'd be a really beautiful crossover of having actually some mom and daughter events too, like mom-daughter retreats, mom-daughter conferences, and just really helping support that beautiful connection, because I think a lot of things can also be avoided if identity is spoken into women at younger ages. And I think the branding could be so cute and so fun, just like a whole world building what that looks like.
Look at your marketing piece.
I know, it's great in who I am. A cool side note in this, actually, my education at Chapman, the PR and ad department was underneath the film school, which is really fascinating. So we learned marketing through story, not through business and numbers.
That's great.
Those incredible degrees. Anyone listening to this wants to go to a great marketing school, like go to Chapman underneath the Dodge College. It was just like an amazing education.
Wow.
Okay, so that's like the Salt Girl side of things. We really don't have a current model of discipleship, and women are hungry for mentorship. Like they're hungry to be known. And I think our world is so full of content. You can go on absolutely any website, listen to this podcast, any other podcast, and get content, right? But to actually experience that felt sensation that someone knows me, and that someone knows me well enough and is safe enough to challenge me and how I think about something or my ways, that's what we're missing out on. I think oftentimes about how Paul talks about how like we are supposed to like correct, rebuke, and encourage one another. And I'm always challenged in my own walk of discipling like college students. How often do I actually correct and rebuke? I always encourage, but it's like, do I actually get to the point of the trust of like calling them higher and like challenging some of their beliefs or their actions that don't quite look like Jesus yet? So this idea of how do we build out a mentorship like option? How do you actually help women who are in their 80s not check out and disciple those women who are in their 40s and their 50s? How do you help the women in their 40s and their 50s help disciple us in their 30s? Like, and then everyone in between, right? But it's like, we need to have this idea that is part of our calling of Jesus followers to not just get too like insular. And again, I have littles. I understand insular. Like I understand that there is a season of life where you need to be like with your littles and keeping people alive. And still somehow could you invite a college student into your living room and have them just like be in the mess and be humbled by how messy your house is? Because let me tell you, what you don't see is very messy. Like they want that. I wanted that when I was a college student. And so Kyla has this beautiful vision. And again, this was fresh. It was like just yesterday. But Kyla is very good at seeing people through their giftings. And so this vision of like, how do you partner someone with a gift of hospitality, with a gift of pastoral leadership, and put them together to actually be hosting small groups across the whole city out of their gift sets.
Hmm.
And then you really are truly creating these little pockets of pastoral care that's happening through the idea of being known, being seen, and being loved.
Yep.
And it sounds so simple.
Hmm.
And how do you do it,
Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
want it, they hunger for it.
Yeah.
And like our small group model like hasn't really worked that well in the past. We don't know if people want a certain day of the week, a certain type of content, a certain type of like curriculum to go through. But what Kyla has seen in her years of doing this, that people just want to be known and they want to be seen. And so we're going to be building out this like beautiful dream of how do you build out these little pockets around the city, and then how do you shepherd the pastors really well? Like, do you do a pastoral heart retreat for all those who are leading small groups, and then at some point those get too big and they then branch off to other small groups around them? But it gets me that sense of knowing. Like this last year and a half now, I've had a small group with just 2 other friends. There's just 3 of us, which seems small, but it's like the perfect number for this. We've met every week, more or less, for the last year and a half, and we have grown exponentially in like our walk with the Lord. The ability to be less chaotic and frantic when things go bad, so we know how God's going to provide and show to us, as we've seen testimony over and over again. So just there's something so essential about this, and this gets when I get all geeky and like researchy. But the book Anxious Generation, have you read it yet?
Oh yeah, yep.
Like that book has changed my life. Because you can't not see the enemy in all of it. Like you zoom out and you see the enemy's strategy. And for those who didn't read the book yet, the book is about this guy named Jonathan Haidt studies why this Gen Z generation is so anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole theory, and I think it's proven fact at this point, is that when the smartphone was introduced, anyone who went through adolescence or puberty on a smartphone, it just completely changed your understanding of the world. Yeah. And parents are parenting a lot more fear and insecurity about the outside world, when in reality, the fear comes down to the device that is unlimited in what it can do, good and bad. And we see this all around. Like once you have eyes for it, you can't not see it, of like friend groups sitting outside, hanging out all on their phones together. You might be able to yourself, like at a table with your girlfriends, your guy friends, like on your phone together. And you're like, this is just not how God created it to be.
No.
And so creating these spaces where it's like you put your phone at the front table when you walk in, you're just a person in a room with like all your good stuff and all your hard stuff just together and being present. That's what we want to create in this city. And I had another friend too, who was sharing testimony about another person in Australia. And she's like, the city of Australia changed because women got together and they were like set and released to do what God's called them to do. And like men get stuff done, women get a lot of stuff done.
Oh, yes.
and I think we just have a different sort of like understanding of doing it with others. And like God created us different for beautiful reasons. Like I love men. I think I think also men need a lot of help too in this season, because women have been like created to do life together, and so much isolation happens for guys. And it's like, where is the assaulted but the guy version of it? Because my husband loves creating spaces for dudes to be real with one another, because it doesn't happen as often. So I have a huge passion for men. Like truly, I read this weekly email from a guy who's all about forming men. Like I really care deeply for men. But I just think when men and women get set free in their identity, like things change.
Yes.
So we have visions and dreams of like just seeing cities transform as women get empowered to go do what God's called them to do.
Yeah.
And the last big initiative that I shared briefly is that we really want to help churches. Like, I'm not as educated as people that I'm friends with about the problems that come with getting women to actual spaces of leadership within church spaces. Some churches obviously don't believe women should be on a pulpit. Some do. And even some do, they have a hard time getting them into a space actually knowing how to get up there with education, the training, the space, the opportunity. And I really see SALT becoming a space of being able to come alongside churches and actually like equip and help them. Whether that means the church will host it or they just come and be part of what we're hosting for them, and church isn't quite ready for it yet. But we just need to have spaces for women to really know the gifting and the talent that God has given them, and to really hone it in and then be released to use that whenever God's called them to do it.
Yes.
So those are some of the big dreams that we have.
I love it. Look, girls, women, and leaders in the church.
Yep.
I guess you're going to get all of it.
We just need the staffing for it. I swear, like, Kyle and I are ready to build. We were like so ready to go there.
Yeah. Well, and I love your heart for like you have continued to beat the drum that you love the church. You want a diverse mix of women from all different churches, all different ages. And you really have done that. I mean, even the most recent conference that you did, or event, I don't know if you call it a conference, but the event you did. Yeah. Tell us what that was like. And there's a couple stories that I remember you sharing that I thought were really powerful that I would love if you are open to sharing one or two.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So this year's conference was definitely a, how do I explain it? One of the hardest conferences in my life, when it could have been and still was very celebratory. So it was our 10-year celebration conference, which was amazing. I was planning in the midst of Rochelle, my last employee, being on mat leave for 3 months, and my husband's going through a really tough season of life and was taking a leave of absence for medical reasons. And it was an exhausting season of life. So going into the conference alone, I was already pretty tanked, and the Lord was needing to show up. And so one story I'll share about that. Again, I love the Lord. So picture this. The girl I work with is on maternity leave for the last 3 months of the year. My husband is currently on a medical leave of absence. I have 2 girls, my youngest being 6 months old. And it's the end of the year fundraising. We're finishing conference stuff, and we're launching our first ever multi-day retreat in a different country, Canada. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this stuff, Jesus. I really don't. I don't know how it's all going to happen. And so I found myself one day with this phrase in my head that I kept saying over and over again. And it's and the phrase was, what's a better way? And I just had this question in my head, probably was the Lord. And he was like, what's a better way? It made me think, did God die on a cross for me to kill myself to do work for ministry? It didn't seem like it actually was how he created it to be. I'm like, I don't think God would have done all of that gruesome, horrible dying on a cross so that I could have a right relationship with him and have access to him whenever I wanted it, for me to be over here striving and dying and saying that everything's on my shoulders to do it all myself. And I do think God gives responsibility and weight with that, but I don't think we're ever supposed to do it by ourselves.
That's right.
And so there's one story in particular that I swear will mark my life, the rest of my life, my being. And also our nanny was no longer working for us because she was, what happened. So I had no childcare. So I was like, hey, Lord.
Gosh.
Okay. So this one day I had paid for babysitter. And it's so weird when you're a young mom, you pay for your time. It's just kind of an interesting concept. So I paid for babysitter. My husband was not only a priority because I was dealing with everything else. I knew that I needed to give him more time, and I was being checked of needing to have my priorities realigned. But I needed to fundraise for conference. So I was planning on calling 30 to 40 people and asking them to give $100 to $200 to cover the cost of conference, which is 30 plus hours of work. But I was also exhausted. So I'm like, I'm going to take a nap and I'm just going to figure it out when I wake up. So I was taking a nap, and I got woken up 5 minutes into my nap, and I answered the phone call, and it was a donor that had usually given $1,000. And on the phone, I answered it, and out of nowhere, she's like, hey, I'm going to give you $5,000 this year. And I was like, what? That's amazing. Thank you so much. And after I hung up and after processing through it a little bit more, what I realized in that moment was that the Lord supernaturally was able to reorient my priorities to put my husband first by giving me 30 hours of time back from calling every single donor because I needed to take around $5,000 or more. And I did that while resting. And I'm like, this is the God that is the better way.
Yes.
It truly is admitting the weaknesses, admitting the hardship, admitting all this stuff to then be able to have him show you that he is supernatural and can do things that you cannot understand.
Yes.
And for the person listening to this podcast who has heard these stories, hasn't experienced it for yourself yet, that was also me. When I was like, no one's going to have their bill fully paid for, and check on their doorstep. If you believe God for it and also live in a way that makes you have to have him show up like that, he wants to show up that way for you. Not a prosperity gospel concept way. That's not how it is at all. I just think God, when we live outside of our own means and not an irresponsible way, but in a faith-filled way, I think he loves showing up and showing you who he truly is. That was a wild story. So then we head into conference. The conference is February 7th. And 7 days beforehand, we get the news that my sister lost her baby at 38 weeks to a stillbirth. And it's obviously very emotional to me. It's still very sad. And I was like, Lord, first off, why? Like, why does she have to die? She's 38 weeks. She's like perfectly formed human being, like 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Her name is Juliet. And like rocked our family, right? You can't not be rocked when you see a perfect baby with no breath in her lungs. And at the same point too, I'm like, am I getting on a stage 7 days from now? Like, that seems like so not what I need to do. Like, I just need to sit with Rachel and mourn with her and be with her and Josh and like sit what just happened to our family. And it was this interesting thing where this whole time at the hospital, Rachel and Josh was talking about the testimony of Juliet and how much her life was going to be a testimony to everyone who hears her story. And I was like, no, it won't be. She didn't even live this side of like Earth for a day. But when I watched Rachel and Josh like in that hospital room giving birth to Juliet, it was wild, the testimony that she was building and like the faith that my sister and Josh walk in. And again, sorry for not giving a warning for this story for those who have had their own personal experience.
It's okay.
And so 7 days later, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get on stage or not. And I just felt like the Lord's like the best way you can honor Juliet's life is to talk about her. And to get on stage and just talk about how much pain there is, how much anger you have, but also how you know that I'm good and I'm here. So on that day, on February 7th, when 420 people were in a room together, ages 8, because one of our makers market gals was an 8-year-old watercolorist, which is amazing. So 8 to 80, we had like 111 different churches in that room. We had our opening worship set and it was beautiful. People were already weeping. Like people come hungry to our events and it's so beautiful to witness it. And as I was bawling my eyes out in the front, I was like, I don't know if I can get on stage. Like, and everyone said, Krista, even if you get up there as the leader of this whole thing and you just cry, like that's leadership. Like, you're not putting on a face. You're not here to prove to anyone that you're fine because you're not fine. That's okay. But as I got up onto the stage, it was wild being able to talk about like God's strength and weakness. And I was able to talk about all the things I had already shared that I was experiencing before Juliet's passing. And then to share that she passed away was just like the last straw, like after all this hardship that we experienced for the last couple of months. And but in that I got to talk about how much Rachel and Josh like proclaim God's name, like to still choose that he was good, because it's either Rachel had this time in the hospital and she was like, it's either depression and anxiety and like fear my whole life, or it's God. It's like thinking that she's in heaven or it's not. Like, it's so easy to want to say that God is not good because you want to blame someone. But I have to believe that this was not God's doing, that there's an enemy. And again, this is where theology and will, and it gets confusing. But like to believe and to know that there is a good God who went before the situation, is coming after the situation and going alongside Rachel and Josh. Like, it's beautiful to know that Juliet is in heaven, which is a place, not just a theological understanding or a thought. And the invitation that I gave after sharing this, like, very raw emotions of holding lots of anger and confusion, is like trust and belief that God is still good. This was at 9 a.m. I was like, I did not know who was going to respond to this invitation, but I was like, my invitation for you guys is to write down in this index card, like what you're mad about and what bitterness you're carrying towards God and what's holding you back still from being fully honest with him, and like write it and bring it forward. And 180 people walked forward, and we afterwards we actually collected all of them and read them and prayed over them, and it was very raw and a total gift to actually see behind the curtain of what people are holding in this city. And people responded because people need to be reminded that like it is okay to hold. It is okay to hold the both, and like God is not scared of the anger, of the bitterness, of the resentment, of like the confusion and the waiting. Like none of that scares him because he meets you in the honesty. And so that event was like none other. It was the biggest one I've ever experienced. We were in a new venue. And it was more raw and real than we have ever experienced before. And I remember driving to the conference that morning. It was the most amazing, beautiful, like vivid, crazy, bright sunrise. And the Lord reminded me, he's like, Krista, the reason why you're going to be able to just share and be tear-filled and talk about this is not because of only Juliet's passing, which is very much so part of it. He was like, for the last 10 years, you fought to create a space where women can be real and authentic and vulnerable, and not the classic typical woman's ministry of putting on a face and putting on a cute outfit and smiling.
Yeah.
It's like the space that you are creating the last 10 years is able to hold this story because of what you've done. And it was just such a gift to watch people like come, like so raw, so real, and feel so safe in that environment where oftentimes women just don't feel safe around other women in mass spaces. There's a lot of comparison usually, or posturing, or better than less than mentality. And just at SALT events, he's protected that culture so much where women just come truly as they are because they want to know Jesus more. So, long roundabout way of answering your question. It was beautiful and it was hard. I've never experienced leadership with that in my entire life. Like, I hope I never have to lead out of that kind of pain ever again. But I'm thankful for it. And Juliet's testimony, I know her life is going to change so many other people's lives as we proclaim the goodness of God, even though we wish it was not that way at all.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
So as we finish, maybe it's if there's a word maybe you feel like you want to share, or even how we can be praying for you, or maybe both.
Yeah. Oh, prayers. Just practically, as Kyla and I are starting a working relationship together, she is definitely a newer person. I met her like through a God story right after Rochelle told me that she was stepping down. So just prayers for our onboarding relationship together. A lot coming up in the next couple of months with launching our retreat, which we're going up to Malibu up in Canada, and then launching conference for next year. But word, and also prayers for my sister and Josh still. They're very much so in a very big grieving season, and prayers for the future family as well. So many words, Lord. What do you want to share? There's this song by Brandon Lake that's coming to mind, and it always makes me so teary-eyed, but it's called Don't You Give Up on Me. And I just think for those out there who are holding some of that bitterness or resentment or anger towards God, or those out there who are like wanting to dream really big but just don't know if God's able to do it, just like don't give up on God. Like he's so much bigger than we can ever comprehend. So much more creative. He's so much more patient. He's so much more empathetic. He's so much more funny. Like he truly is so much more than we could really comprehend in every single department and category. And so live a life that actually that forces you to need to see that, because it's so easy to be passive and just go after the simple things of life, when in reality God wants us to do, like, he's supposed to dream more and ask bigger questions and like live a life that actually allows him to show up and show you who he is in each season of life. And he knows that if you have littles at home like mine, it's a little different than when I was single or like married and no kids or married and no house. Like it changes in each season. But I just think the invitation is to not give up on God and to keep asking the big questions of what does he have next for us?
Good word. Thank you.
Thank you.
If people wanted to find out more about what you're doing or connect with the ministry here, where would you want them to go?
Yeah. Our website, livesalted.com, is probably the easiest place to go. We have a sign-up sheet on there for our newsletter, which we are pretty active on. And then if you want to come to an event, we're hosting our first ever women's retreat up at Malibu, which is this amazing location in Canada. Like it just, if you've heard about it, it's legendary. It has this aura around it. It's happening September 17th through the 20th. 3 nights, 4 days. The theme is unveiled, all about finding and experiencing true freedom.
Awesome. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for living in our city and loving it. Thank you for loving the women.
Oh, thank you.
As you know, I think maybe you don't know, I have 2 daughters. Well, yeah, you knew. Yeah,
you told me that.
And And so I'm so thankful there are more women like you in Seattle that they can look up to. So
Thank
thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff.